And it was hard. I mean, I felt like I was living a double life, or I couldn't be honest with the people that didn't know. And obviously it was hard for her. And honestly, none of them really knew about it until my new relationship, where they're kind of like, this is out of nowhere. But my sisters are like, it's not. She's been with someone before. But they're like, the roommate, her friend, her special friend.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. I am very, very excited about today's conversation. I am here with someone who has graced all of our TV screens on what is one of my favorite shows, Love is Blind, Stacy Snyder. And I'm really, really honored because she hasn't really talked about her story and her coming out publicly yet. So I'm happy that she decided to have that conversation first here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you tell me, what was your upbringing like? What was your family structure?
Oh, God. This has been a while since I talked about this. We moved around a lot. So I'm one of 3 girls. We were actually born in California. My dad is in oil and gas. So we moved around every year or two. So it was Cali, Houston, New York, Houston, Nashville, Arizona. I moved around a ton. I went to school at the real UT.
Okay.
Tennessee. I cheered there, graduated, moved around a little bit, and now I'm in Houston working in oil and gas, and I have my own business doing personal styling and closet organization.
Wow.
I know.
You do it all. When did you start to realize maybe that you were queer? This episode is sponsored by Osea. Holiday season is right around the corner, and I know we're all looking for easy gifting options. I feel like you can't go wrong with body care, and Osea's limited edition Super Glow body set is perfect. I use the Super Glow body set on days that I take my everything showers, and it leaves my skin so soft and smelling amazing. The set includes a full-size Undaria algae body wash, full-size Undaria algae body oil, and a travel-size hyaluronic body serum. Give the gift of glow this season with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Take all the stress of web design away by using Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place and all on your terms. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, www.squarespace.com/dothework to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
This is such a funny question, and I always have a hard time answering it because the first experience that I had with a woman, I would have never been like, I'm queer. And even when I was with her, they were like, yeah, she's gay and she's straight, but we're together. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, that's so odd. But I cheered in college, so a lot of my guy friends were gay from the team, or just like that I had cheered with in high school. And we were going out, and one of them had a roommate. She was a lesbian. She was really hot. And then every time we went out and got wasted, I'm like, perfect. Now I can like be closer to her without it being weird because I'm wasted, right? And then I went back to my friend's house because she lived there, where I'm like, I never stayed with him, but I'm like, can I stay?
Now all of a sudden you want to stay.
He's like, you're so weird. Why? I'm like, I mean, I don't want to go home. Like, I don't even know what I said. We end up hooking up. And then the next day I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And then I call my other gay guy friend. I tell him what happened because they all know this girl, right? And I'm like, this happened. Am I gay? And he's like, no. He's like, do it again. And then maybe. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. And then I did it again and again. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I was just kind of like experimenting, just kind of like going with whatever I wanted to, whatever was fun. Mm-hmm. And then I was supposed to move back to Arizona. I was living in Knoxville at this time. And at that point, we're like having fun, hooking up, whatever. But I'm like, I'm moving. And it was this whole like, wait, what? Because I think that in her head, it was, this is moving towards something. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm moving. So then we got into a relationship, but it was long distance, which was very messy. Mm-hmm. And we were together for 2 years.
Wow.
I ended up moving back later to Tennessee, where we moved in together, but it wasn't like an intentional, let's move in together. It was like, the house that I had stayed in that was my parents' property was rented out. I'm like, I can't afford a place on my own. She's like, me either. Let's just
move in.
Yeah.
Yep. As it goes.
Yeah. And at that point, the women in my family knew, and the people that knew her that were also my friends knew about it, but I hid it from everyone else. So
yeah. So what did those conversations look like?
I mean, I was like, this is my friend. And everyone believed that because I'd never been with a woman. And I was this blonde cheerleader in college that doesn't go together.
Yeah.
They would never even wonder unless I told them or unless they saw us together. And it was hard. I mean, I felt like I was living a double life where I couldn't be honest with the people that didn't know. And obviously it was hard for her. But there was no option in my mind of telling the people that didn't know that I purposely didn't tell. There was no option. I was like, there's no way I'll ever tell them.
Wow.
And honestly, none of them really knew about it until my new relationship, where they're kind of like, this is out of nowhere. But my sisters are like, it's not. She's been with someone before. But they're like, the roommate, her friend, her special friend, that was everything. I'm like, oh God.
Did you ever think that you were, like when you were in this relationship, did you think you were going to end up with her long term?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for a while. Because at that point, growing up, I never had like this image of I'm going to marry a guy. I want to have this wedding. I want to have like the fairy tale, the white picket fence. I was always the opposite. Like, I'm going to move somewhere. I don't want to be around anyone I know. Like, I don't know. I just never had that vision for myself. And when I met her, I was like, maybe this is why. Like, this feels more adventurous. This feels more me. Like, it's not the standard, the typical, the expected. Like, I like this.
Yeah.
So when that kind of came about, I guess for like the first year, I really thought that. And we had like had conversations about where we would move. And if we get engaged, like, do you buy her? Like, how does that work? Like, do you both get a ring? Do you buy me the ring? Are you the guy and I'm the girl? Like, do we get married? And then I'm like looking at the L word or whatever. Like, what did they do? Is it all the same? And now I know, like, there is no rules.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. But yeah. And then when we became very toxic, I was like, never again. We broke up and I'm like, we're never going to see this through long term. And then I was questioning, like, was that a phase? Did I have a bad taste in my mouth because we just weren't meant for each other? Or is it because she was a girl and it didn't work out?
Wow. Okay, so that is interesting because I was going to say, you going on Love is Blind doesn't necessarily correlate with like not picturing this nuclear like family and the marriage and having that vision.
See, I think it was very consistent because I'm like, this is the most insane thing ever. And if it works out, it's totally up my alley because it's a crazy story.
Okay,
like, it's
that
not
makes
typical.
sense.
Like, you don't pick out your venue and do all the things. You don't have a shower. Like, you don't do any of that. It's like you show up at the altar and it's yes or no. Like,
Yeah.
that's so random.
This episode is sponsored by Osea. Holiday season is right around the corner, and I know we're all looking for easy gifting options. I feel like even for the people who are tough to shop for, like my girlfriend, you can't go wrong with body care. Osea's limited edition Super Glow body set is perfect. It includes 3 of Osea's best-selling body care products and is packed in a really pretty box, so you don't even have to wrap it. I use the Super Glow body set on days that I take my everything showers, and it leaves my skin soft and smelling amazing. The set includes a full-size Undaria algae body wash, full-size Undaria algae body oil, and a travel-size hyaluronic body serum. Give the gift of glow this holiday season with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount for our listeners. Get 10% off of your first order site-wide with code MADE at OseaMalibu.com. That's OSEA Malibu.com. Your girlfriend is going to love it. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Take all the stress of building a website away by using Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out online. Whether you're just starting your business or you're managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place and all on your terms. Squarespace just introduced a new feature called Design Intelligence that guides you through the creative process, ensuring that anyone can create a good website tailored to their unique needs. Another great feature is Squarespace Payments, which makes it so easy to receive and manage your payments all in one place. Oh, and I cannot forget to mention that you can connect all of your social media accounts to your website in a few clicks as icons, direct links, embedded feeds to extend your brand's footprint. Okay, check out all of these amazing features and more by heading to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/dothework to save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain. So I want to go back just a little bit. I want to understand, when you were growing up, were there any signs that you were queer that you maybe repressed or ignored?
I think that I was always like pretty open. And I remember like the dumbest thing. It was a high school spring break where I'm with my girlfriends and we're like sneaking alcohol. We're drunk and we're like, let's make out or something. I don't know if that's like weird. It was my friend. We were friends after too. It was not like a thing that we liked each other, but it was just like an experimental thing. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people do that.
Well, I think that's totally normal, but I like actively stayed away from those situations because I knew I was gay. So those situations, like,
you're like, I don't want to address it and like open that door.
Or just like, I don't want people to figure me out. Like, I worked in a lot of settings with like, I worked in bars and like nightclubs with a lot of women. And I was really like aware of just like, I didn't really want to watch girls when they changed and whatever, because I didn't want to be like figured out.
Yes.
So I was never so like free with, oh, like I'm going to make out with a friend or whatever. It was like very done in secret.
Yeah, you're like, people are going to know.
Yeah. So I would like seek out like very secret experiences and like make out with random strangers or like, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that it was like something that I did on my own.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm thinking about this, there were definitely, tree. Okay. There were definitely times where it would be late and I would definitely have been drinking, where if I had a dating app, I would switch it. And like scroll and see what was there. And if it was like nothing, it's like, oh my God, switch it back. But hope to God that no one saw me on there.
Which is like so funny because it's like, if they're on there.
Right.
They're on there.
But if they know me, they're like, straight Stacy's on this. Like, what the fuck? So there were times, and I'm like, I honestly forgot about that until you were talking about how you tried to hide it. Where I'm like, I don't know if that was just out of curiosity or what. But I mean, I don't think straight women do that.
I don't think so. What I've come to learn, Stacy, is that no, they don't.
But I wouldn't know because I never asked any of my straight girlfriends because I didn't want them to be like, are you okay?
Of course. This is like the loneliness of it all.
Yeah.
I've told this a million times on, so just so you know, I used to go on Craigslist when I was very, very young and like go women seeking women and meet up with girls
so
to like try to, of course, I know, but I was living in Texas and I was 15 and I didn't know what else to do.
Oh,
but it never clicked in my head that I was gay. Like it was never like I'm a lesbian. It was just like, this is what
Hearing
I'm doing.
you say that, I'm like, that's crazy. But I'm like, I did the same thing. Or I'm like, I'm not gay. I'm straight. I'm just dating this girl. Because everyone was like, she's straight. She's the gay one. She flips straight girls all the time. She's going to get another one after you. So in my head, I'm like, okay, they're labeling me as straight, even though I'm dating her. So I'm straight. Yeah. I'm just into her.
Yeah. I think it's because we never saw ourselves.
Yeah.
We didn't see. So we're like, oh, well, that's not.
And honestly, no one ever questioned me. Even when I was in a relationship with a woman for years and living with her, my closest friends never were like, are you gay? No conversation. It might have just been out of discomfort. I have no idea, but there were never questions like, are you questioning your sexuality?
That's the even crazier part to me.
Did they do that with you?
No, but it's like, well, no, because I was more secret about it. Like no one knew. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, when I came out, as I got older, I would kind of have more of these frequent makeouts in public because I would be like drunk and I'd be with like a few friends and then I would make out with a girl.
Yeah.
And when I came out to them, they were like, yeah, that makes sense. I've seen you make out with more girls than I have guys. But it is like, well, then why did nobody ever be like,
why
Mal,
did anyone tell me I was gay?
Hey, are you gay? Nobody
It's
would.
all their fault.
Exactly. That's
the heck? That's so rude.
No, but it's so just easier. Crazy. Like that nobody would look at a really feminine presenting girl and be like, that is
because
a gay
it's so
woman.
uncommon. Even now, people they don't believe it, or it's like it's a phase, or it's for attention. It's never like, oh,
Right.
it's hard for people like
To believe it.
I feel it now too. For example, when I'd first put something out on social media with me and my current girlfriend, all of my friends, well, first of all, I got blasted all over like all the tabloids, and they're seeing it and they're sending it to me, and it's like, ha ha ha, like Stacy's queer, not laughing or making fun of me, but they're like, this is hilarious that they think you're queer, saying you're queer.
Wow.
And I don't take offense to that, because I too am like, it's kind of a weird word to describe me, but it is what it is. But that's just the reality of it, where they're like, yeah, we know you're with her. We know you're happy with her. But I mean, queer, that's like a...
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
It's still hard for me to associate that word, where I'm like, I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed. I'm proud of my partner. But that word itself, I'm like, is that a word to describe me? It just feels kind of detached. I don't know how to describe it. I think it's hard to associate those two things.
Yeah.
Especially when for most of my life I have been with or been seen with men. I've been engaged to a man on national or international TV.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to like wrap your brain around any sort of title. I've never been into titles. I don't even like saying girlfriend, boyfriend. It's like man friend, lady friend, partner. Like, I don't know. So queer, like that's another label. I just don't like labels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also must make it really hard for you because of all the outside input and what people think they know of you. It's got to be hard to kind of dig for yourself.
It is.
If you ever even wanted to find a label.
It is. And I think I find myself not digging, because I'm like, this is just easier and I'm happy. But I don't know how to describe it to a lot of people. Like, it's back to that, like, am I gay? That first call, like, am I gay?
The panic.
No, you're not. You're happy with a woman. So I'm just like, well, what is it? So I'm not gay. I'm just with a woman. Like, someone tell me the answer.
I mean,
It's a weird thing. And then I feel like accepting that word or that title also comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations. Well, if you're this thing, then you stand for this.
interesting. Tell me more.
Like, if you're like politically, religiously, all of that gets so heavily tied to that I feel this pressure, especially for how people know me and my family, that, whoa, well, you can't be Catholic or you can't be Republican. You can't be these things. If you're that, it's just this association of things that feels a bit heavy. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay.
It's like, it's identity. And it's having to pick the parts of each thing that you want and the ones that you don't want. And that's really, I mean, I think that is it's part of the queer experience is that you have to shut out all of the other outside influence and say, like, this is what resonates with me.
Yeah.
This is what I don't like. And this is what I do like.
Yeah.
And that can be a really hard thing to do.
I know, especially when I'm not an anomaly by any means, but I feel like it's less common to find someone in my shoes to relate to, where it's like, you're not like, I've come out, like I've been with women before. I'm not technically saying I'm this different person. I'm still the same person.
Yeah.
I'm just dating this person, but people want to be like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does it need to mean something?
Yeah.
Like, usually when you're dating someone, it doesn't mean anything. You're just dating someone, but there needs to be this explanation or story, which is different to deal with.
Yeah. It's a stark contrast from coming from men.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say anything or question.
Right.
But the minute you start doing something else that especially in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, as very feminine presenting women, the minute you start going against the grain, people are like, hold on, this isn't the box that I put you in. So please tell me which box I am supposed to put you in.
And I'm like, I don't want to be in a box. I'm not a fucking Jack in the Box. I would never be in a box no matter who I was dating. Come on now.
So I'm curious now, what did you hear about gay people growing up at home and in your community? What was the messaging?
Yeah. We actually have, I was going to say a lot of that in my family. We've got a lot of that in my family. What am I saying? But it's true. I don't know how to properly say that. I was really little. I was still living here, so probably 5, 6. My grandma still lives here, and we always stayed holidays at her house. And her brother, I think it's her brother's 2 kids. They're both gay. guy and girl. So I was introduced to that early on because they were a lot older than me, but they would come with their partners to Christmas. And it was always welcome. Even though they're very Catholic, it was like, this is our family. This is their partner. And I'm like, what does that mean? I want a partner.
I like that.
So I don't know. It didn't seem odd to me because at that point, I think when you're that young, when it's like your parents, you're not looking at your parents like they're intimate together. That's mom and that's dad.
Right.
They're not romantic. At least for me, I wasn't thinking that.
Right.
So when it's like they're together, I'm like, okay. I didn't think anything of it.
Right. They hang out.
Yeah. A lot. They came together. My mom more so explained it where it's like, yeah, instead of being, with a man or a woman, what you're supposed to be with, they're with the same sex. And it never crossed my mind as odd or weird or like an outlier. It was just like, that's just different, I guess. And that's who they're with. And back in that day, I remember conversations about like, oh yeah, like it's so sad. Like so-and-so's kid came out, their life is going to be really hard. And I'm like, why? And even when they explained it, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But there was this explanation of like, when they make that choice, your life is going to be harder. I still never understood, but just because you don't understand something doesn't mean you don't accept it. So I just accepted their life is going to be hard because they're gay. They're different because they're with the same sex, but it never was something that I was uncomfortable with. I saw it. So I don't know. It was just.
Well, I mean, that messaging is pretty, it's a message. You're hearing something in that, So I wonder, do you think that if that affected kind of down the line when you started having a relationship with a woman, do you think that affected your ability to maybe
express like what was going on?
Yeah.
For sure. Because it's almost like you've been taught this, this, almost like better kind of a thing. So even though that's happening, like the lesson I've learned. So yeah, I learned the lesson. So I'm not that.
Right.
I'm just dating her.
Right.
But that was what was going on in my head. Like, I'm not gay. I'm just dating her because I know that this happens if you're gay. So I'm not gay. I'm just dating a girl.
Yeah.
And I think with our upbringing, I know I have a lot of cousins, but I feel like with my sisters, we were looked at as like the golden children, like the blonde hair, the blue eyes. They're so cute. They all, got scholarships in school, athletes, they're producers, they have jobs, all these things. And that's what made me really nervous is like, I'm going to look like a failure.
Wow.
Oh my God, don't cry. I think it's more me than them, but it's just like, you do X, Y, Z, like we'll show the pictures of you and talk about your accomplishments, but this is like not like that. And it's not that you're talking poorly about me, but you're not proud of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it hard to accept it and be like, I'm gay, I'm this. Cause it's like, I don't want that to be like the cherry on top. And like, I've signed off to this and I have to commit to being, I don't know, like the black sheep.
Mm-hmm. It kind of can hit you like a bus, all the things that are just have been in there for forever.
I think when you say it, it's more real, like that's how I feel. It's like therapy where I'm like, oh, I don't need therapy today. I feel fine. And they're like, what's going on? How are you? And I'm like, great. And then I talk about one thing that I didn't even think to talk about. It's like, why do you feel this way? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. And then it's like thinking about all the things that put me in a position to feel this way or saying something out loud that when you don't say it out loud, it kind of sounds stupid or like you're being dramatic or sensitive. When you say it out loud, it's like, I do feel that way. And that makes sense for all these other things that I can joke about. Like, I'm not gay, but it's like, maybe these are all the things that I'm in denial about to say, because it makes me feel like that's admitting to this failure.
I mean, I do think that makes sense. I think we've all, maybe all of us different things, but we've all received messaging since we were literally born about what we should be.
We need to fix that.
We're trying. Welcome.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the reason why we are doing this podcast.
It's so messed up because it's just the subconscious where it's like you don't realize what's happening. But when you create these ideas in your head of what's wrong, right, normal, weird, you avoid the wrong, the bad, the weird. And it's a conscious thing that you shouldn't be doing. Just like be whatever, do whatever, be with who you want. Like whatever you're feeling, just go with it.
You shape your whole life around what you're told that you should and shouldn't be. I mean, I again, I just want to share with you, they know this, but I lived in Texas until I was 25. I dated men. I worked a corporate career that I was miserable in. I was a shell of a human. I had an eating disorder. It was really bad, dark. And one day I blew up my entire life and decided I was going to move to LA, on a complete whim. And when I moved here was when I switched my apps, and I was like, this is what I was fully hooking up with women, going on Craigslist. I had known I was gay since I was 5 years old.
But you were liberating and freeing yourself, because when you're known in a town, in a Texas town, is one thing that could never happen there. I mean, it could, but it's much easier not to create a false persona, but go somewhere where no one knows you for anything. So you can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
And not fear what someone's going to think or hear or repeat to someone that knows your dad or whatever.
But also relating that back to your experience of now the whole world knows you for something. And so it's harder to escape and go to that town where no one knows you and get to the heart of this and do that discovery on your own.
I know. And I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I expected it to be not even a blip on a radar, but even when I put it out there, I'm like, not a lot of people are going to see this. It's just she's in a relationship, but not a lot of people know who I am. That's fine. But the amount of people that had questions or were supporting it, or this makes so much sense, or even when I addressed it, I, in my head, was like, I'm going to get so much hate, because when I did the show, I got so much hate for things that weren't even true. Things about me that aren't real, where I'm like, oh, I put this out, it's going to be so much worse. And I thought the gay community would be like, you're intruding on our territory and falsely representing it or mocking it. And it was the opposite. And that was awesome.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about that, because just for those who don't know how you did come out. So you meet someone, you're with a partner, and then you had this coming out moment. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
And had you thought about, before we go there, had you thought about what it was going to be like to tell the world or put it out there that you were dating a woman?
Honestly, I'm so bad at this that I don't really think about that sort of stuff. It's more what's in my head that's the priority is all I'm focused on. It's not the repercussions. We had been dating, I don't know, a couple of months, maybe 3 months, and not putting anything out there. The people closest to us knew we were together. I just wasn't posting it anywhere. One, because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a fling and it would last, or at least enough for me to feel comfortable posting something with her. And then a lot of the reason that I wanted to share it when I shared it is because there was a lot of noise and a lot of drama about my last relationship, or my last 2 relationships, both with men. Oh, she cheated on her ex with this guy, all these things, where I'm over here I'm fucking a girl. So
you guys have it so wrong.
I so wanted to just drop the mic. That was my feeder, where I'm I am so sick of this bullshit with all of this gossip, all these rumors. You could not be more off. Literally could not be more off.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm not thinking, what's my dad going to think? What's the world going to think? I'm shut the fuck up. Here's my proof. I'm with her. And then I was oops. Because then it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Before I posted it, I obviously wanted my family to know. I didn't want them to find out on social media. And there were a bunch of different reactions. Some people were oh, we already knew. We already knew. That's not surprising. Or that's great. And then some other people were please don't post that. Wow. And I don't know if it was they didn't want me to post it ever, or they needed time to process it before seeing it. And I found that seeing it is a trigger. It's not me saying I'm with someone, them seeing me hold hands, kiss a girl. It is the most uncomfortable thing for them, because it's not me.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm 36. Why is this bothering you? Or why is it making you feel a certain way? So those were the thoughts behind that. And then I just put it out because I was going out of town with her for a wedding where I'm like, there were some gossip and rumors about she and I, where I'm like, I don't want people to find out through gossip and rumors. I kind of want to be in control of my own narrative, of my own story, of my life. So I'm going to put this out there so I can post stuff with her and it's my story, not what all these other people are saying about it. And I did not think that it would get the attention it did, because I feel like there's so many people that have come out that are huge. So I don't know why it was that big of a splash, but in my head, I also don't think it was a big deal that I was on a show to get married to a man, because I was in that.
Right.
It's not like people are just like, you were into women the whole time. How could you? I'm like, oh my God. I don't have the energy to explain that. Like,
the internet lacks nuance.
I know. And instead of like, let me do some research and hear more about this, it's just like, no.
Yeah.
Can't be. You're a liar. It's not real.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So what was the aftermath of, I mean, because really you were kind of outed.
Outed. It was a lot of positivity. And I don't know the reach as far as like social media, like if it was to most of the people that follow me, like, are they unfollowing me now because I'm this? Do I not stand for the same things? But it was mostly a lot of support, which was great. And I did not expect that at all. I thought it was going to be a ton of hate, judgment. And it was just like, you're so happy. I'm like, oh my God. Yay.
Yeah.
I got one break.
Yeah.
Finally.
I mean, I feel like the community is going to be there to catch you.
Yeah.
You know, which is a beautiful part of it all.
No, for sure. But yeah, the aftermath, that's really like the presence on social media was like positive for the most part. All of my friends are super supportive and are like, cool, whatever makes you happy. And a lot of them have been like, this seems more you, like when I'm around her, like, oh, you would never be like this with so-and-so from the past.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I'd say overall it's been good and positive, and there are some times where it's like I feel like I'm trying to navigate new territory, but
like how?
With kind of like what we talked about before about like expectations or like, oh, this means now that you're ex. I don't know, just this like a feeling like I need to answer to someone about this relationship, where I'm not used to that because I've never had to answer to anyone about any other relationship that I've been in.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one more question. I know this has felt like therapy.
No, I love it. I need it.
Okay, good.
I need it.
But tell me what you and your therapist are working on.
Ooh. I mean, it's different every week. But lately it's been a lot about expectations and boundaries, which I'm not new to therapy. So those are usually like first talks of like, oh, why am I getting this in a relationship? You don't have boundaries. Mm-hmm. My thing is I have boundaries, but I guess I let people like move them.
Oh, interesting. In what way?
Like a boundary or an expectation out of someone. If I'm not getting that, I either like make an excuse or move the line thinking I can move it back later. Instead of like, it could be like giving an inch and taking a mile. I don't realize I'm doing that. My therapist does, where I'm like saying something that bothers me and it's like, well, why did you let that happen? That's definitely something that you've made known as a boundary. I'm like, is it?
Was that one?
But maybe I said that at the time because I was mad about something. It's that.
Interesting. So how do you stop doing that?
I'm just working on it, where I have to almost like vocalize it to myself. And sometimes I feel bad about my boundaries. Like I feel mean or selfish or greedy of having a cutoff point, especially if you present a boundary and someone hears you but is like, no, I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, then my boundary's probably off. It makes me like second guess.
Yeah.
And I just need to have more conviction that it's okay to have boundaries, standards, expectations. And in my past, that's been misconstrued as like high maintenance or greedy, asking too much, where really I'm not. This is just what I want.
Yeah.
And if you can't provide it or respect it, then keep it moving. I can say that now, But in the moment of it happening, I'm like,
Yeah, it's hard. You like get squeamish.
yeah.
I don't know if I've said this on here before, but my therapist has told me something interesting about boundaries, about how a boundary is not only good for the person setting it, but it also is good for the other person because it gives them a chance to reflect on why the boundary is being set. So it's like actually really good for both people, and it's doing the relationship best. Like that's the best thing you can do.
Do you have that experience where you present a boundary or make it known that it goes over well for both parties and is respected?
Yeah, and I think that I've learned this most with my family.
Okay.
Boundaries in that way, because I think a lot of the time things that happen with family is so unconscious and it just like happens just so you're not even thinking about it. But then when one person is like, oh, hey, like I really didn't like this, or this is triggering me or bothering me in a certain way and I don't want this to happen.
Yeah.
It gives the other person a chance to kind of like stop in the tracks and realize the unconscious behavior.
Yeah.
So I think it's just good for both people in the relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I do.
I think it's just that fear holding you back of like, someone's going to get mad or they're going to think my expectation or my boundary is crazy. I don't know why I do that, but that's a similarity thing with like a lot of aspects of my life where I'm like, I know what I want. Here's the list. Here's my conviction. And then when in the moment it happens, I'm like, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And then my therapist is like, that was your boundary. It just got crossed. I was like, oh, it was. Oh yeah. Well, it already happened. So what do I go back and say, hey, when we had this fight and I said you were right, I actually didn't mean that. And that was my boundary and it was crossed.
That was my boundary. I remembered.
Yeah. I remember now that was not okay. And I want to rehash this whole thing and redo it.
Our game, it's called You Haul or You Ghost. Okay. They're perfect in every single way, except for this maybe like one quirk.
Okay.
Okay. They are a trampoline fitness instructor.
I'm like, I don't think that,
Have you seen trampoline fitness?
I guess not, because the way you're reacting, I feel like I should ghost.
Okay, well, first of all, I actually bought one of these trampolines on Amazon because I was like, I have to do this. It got like held up in shipping, but I'm waiting on it because I saw it on TikTok. It's these people and it's a mini
like the
trampoline
mini
with the bar and they do the dances and it's so intense.
Are they in good shape? The instructors?
The ones I see on TikTok are.
Okay.
But it's a very specific thing.
Actually, I'm going to ghost it. Because I'm like, I can't U-Haul that. What do I tell my parents? I just can imagine that conversation. My mom would totally want in the class.
Yeah.
My dad would be like, what? That's a profession? And then he'd want to see a video, and then I could only imagine.
The videos?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you some.
Yeah.
Okay. They're romantic, but like in the really cheesy rose petal, like I Googled how to be romantic way. This feels really straight coded to me. Like the romance.
I'd U-Haul.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'd rather have that than nothing at all. I feel like you're either romantic or you're not. So even if they're trying, I'd be like, that's sweet.
I'm talking like a man Googles how to be romantic and does like the rose petals to the bed. Yeah. And like the bear and like the candles.
I mean, I wouldn't love that, but I'd still be like, they tried.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I guess if it's a man, it's like, oh. But if it's a woman, I'm like, no, we can do better than this.
You're supposed to be better at this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's why I say it feels straight coded to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. What about if they're an avid bingo player?
These are such weird questions.
I mean, we're on a year of this. I told you, 54 episodes.
Avid bingo player? I'd U-Haul it. I like games.
I like this too.
Yeah.
We're going to the bingo hall.
Yeah.
And actually, I used to play a lot of bingo.
That's like a big thing in Houston, though. I haven't been, but a lot of my friends go. It's like a huge thing.
Yeah, I think it is a Texas thing because I used to play when I lived in Texas.
Yeah. What
Bingo.
kind of prizes? This is reminding me. There was sex bingo or porn bingo. Have you heard of that?
Oh God, we got to go to this.
It was like my best friend at the time. She was trying to get back on the horse, dating. It was a blind date. I'm like, it's fine. In my head, I'm like, not good. Blind date. He's picking you up. Never have someone pick you up on a first date.
And on a blind date.
And she's pretty straight-laced, like not an adventurous person. And she's like texting me, Stacy, he took me to like sex bingo. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't understand. And she sent a picture and they had porn playing on like one of those drive-in theater, like huge screens. And it was all questions like about sex or like raunchy things to like fill on the board. And the prizes were sex toys.
Oh my God.
And she would never even discuss this with someone, let alone on a first date. And she's like, is he trying to send me a message like something's going to happen? I'm like, I'm so sorry. Stop dating. We're not ready for this. What are people doing?
I don't know. This is validating why I'm gay. I'm like, I don't know.
That or just like, even if something happens, just don't date anymore. It's dangerous out there. Like, what the I can't.
Okay. What about if, I guess this is particularly for women, she's a label girl, like many labels, many different brands all at the same time.
U-Haul, because you better buy me some too. We can match, right?
I don't know. This isn't really my style. I'm not a big brand girly.
I mean, I don't love it if someone's completely decked out in it.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's giving like, what are we trying to prove to me?
Like very Miami.
Yeah.
Sorry if anyone's...
No, I don't really like Miami. We can throw it out there.
But it has to, it's like totally like an 11 out of 10, like every day, like...
Yeah, we're doing brands. We're branding it up. Shoes, hats, belts. I mean, you've seen them out there.
I like someone with cool style, so I feel like that's probably not cool, but my initial answer is what I'm going to go with.
All right.
Just rock it. Just rock it. If you're committed, I'm committed for you. Love that.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great. I can't believe I cried, but I think it was necessary. And I just feel like more open and light. And that's a great feeling to have, especially after talking to a stranger about a lot of intimate things. It could go the
We're
other way.
We're not strangers anymore.
No, I cried on your couch. No.
Can you please tell people where they can find you?
On the internet.
As one does.
Yes. Instagram, TikTok, Stacy Renee 926. I do virtual styling and a lot of my content's fashion stuff. So I've had a lot of people like reach out through that for my closet audit business. So let me style you.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing it with everyone you've ever met. Made It Out is produced and edited by Matilde Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
Is love really blind? Wish they would let the queers try. We will never know.